Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to Dororo, episode 16. So, last we left off, Dororo and Hyakimaru split up at the end because Hyakimaru's kind of becoming too obsessed with killing these demons and getting his body back. And there's nothing wrong with wanting that. But he's putting it ahead of others. He's prioritizing it over the livelihoods of others. And it caused the destruction of a village that, while the things they were doing wasn't great and was kind of messed up, the way Hyakimaru handled it and the way it was taken care of, just it caused the village to be destroyed. The head of the village committed suicide, from what we can tell. And it's just everything's destroyed. People are so put out by this, and it's, some of those people are going to die from having nothing left. Some of those men, women, children, all of the people in there are going to die. Some of all of them, I mean. You know what I mean. All because of Hyakimaru's hasty decision. And it brought forth the continuing moral dilemma that this show has kind of thrived on. And showed that it's not always so black and white, that things can have a lot of gray to them. Which you see very much through Hyakimaru's vision of people. That he's had a hard time lately determining whether people are good or bad. And I think it's because the people he's been seeing lately have also just kind of clouded that for him as to what exactly constitutes that. But the point is that he's kind of becoming a little too obsessive. And it's going to only hurt him and others because of it. So he and Dororo split up, but while on the road, Dororo was confronted by Itachi, the samurai from his past who had betrayed his parents. And Itachi is clearly about to kidnap him as well. Hyakimaru noticed Dororo wasn't with him because he didn't even notice at first. And is probably most likely going to save him here. So I don't know how this is going to go and everything exactly, but you can kind of see little hints here and there. Ugh. Excuse me, I just woke up not too long ago. But you can kind of see hints here and there if you've seen other shows kind of go down paths like this. You could see a little bit of where it could be going. And you could start forming hypothesize, based on all of that previous information. If I were to wager a guess, I would probably say that again, Hyakimaru is going to save Dororo, and I don't think it's going to fix much, but they're going to probably have a talk. That's how I see this going. But I might be wrong. And I admit and acknowledge that I might be wrong. I could be very wrong. we'll just have to see. Um, but I'm interested. I'm very interested to see where this goes for this continuing second half. Um, because yeah, it's clearly leading up once again to the next and most likely final confrontation between Hyakimaru and his family. So at this question, or at this point, it's just the question of what's going to lead there. And on top of it, how much more will Hyakimaru gain back beforehand? So we'll have to see. Um, but yeah, I'm definitely interested and definitely excited to continue seeing where this goes. um, so we're just going to get on with this and hope for the best. And yeah, so for now, uh, let's begin. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, this was another two-parter. Like, this is the third two-parter in a row I think we've gotten. Well, this is the first part of a two-parter, I should say. So I think maybe this second half is just going to be all two-parters, it seems. Maybe. Um, it seems like it's going to be, yeah. Which I'm not necessarily opposed to the idea, but yeah, it's just we are still at the moment only doing like on average one episode at a time, so it's like there are going to be a bit of cliffhangers here. Um, but before we talk about anything else with this episode, I'm bringing it up again. Yes, I need to talk about this, about Dororo's gender. Um, it was brought up again in this episode in one of the worst ways. So, and this is kind of a response to how other people, like what other people said and how they reacted and all. Um, last time I talked about this. So, throughout the entire series, Dororo has been pretty exclusively referred to as male. He has gone by male pronouns, and that is the kind of relationship he sees himself having with Hyakimaru, a brother-brother relationship. He's in every way identifying as male. He is also excessively ashamed of his body. We've seen this multiple times now, and in this episode included. Granted, I will give that anyone would probably be pretty ashamed when someone forcefully strips them down in an aggressive way to try and discover something on them, but still. But last time I talked about this, kind of two things came up. One is something I actually talked about in the last time as well, about the idea that it was done because being a girl in those times was hard. And I believe I talked about this last time as well, that it's like, yes, that is true, being a girl in those times was hard, and yes, in real life, people did do that. They would raise their daughters to be as sons in order to protect and save them. That's just true. But that doesn't mean that's entirely what's going on here. That may have been the point that Dororo's parents raised him as a boy. That may have been the initial point, but that doesn't stop him from being a boy. Just because he was raised for the purpose of protecting him, that doesn't mean he's not a boy. It's entirely up to Dororo and what he knows and believes to be true about himself. He, throughout the series, again, has clearly identified as a boy. Therefore, he's a boy. It's as simple as that. And although it hasn't seemed to show it as much in this anime, from what I've been told, and this wasn't really a spoiler, so I kind of let it pass. I've been told that in the manga, he actually objects a lot more often to being called a girl. That it actually pisses him off and offends him, and that he consistently insists on being referred properly as a boy. And maybe that will start happening a little more as the series goes on. But even if it doesn't, again, it's still very obvious how he feels about it. And I feel at this point, referring to him as female with she, her pronouns, or just calling him a girl, would be excessively insulting. It it's excessively insulting to misgender someone, especially on purpose, especially if you think that there's some other reason behind it. Again, no matter what you think the reason for it is, you have to just abide by their desires here. You have to use the pronouns and everything that they tell you to use for them. They are the authority on that. So, from all the context of this series and just everything we've been shown and told, and even a little bit of context of the manga as well, Dororo is 100% a boy. And we should refer to him as such. And I will continue to do so. But let's talk about this episode. And I'll get to the big moment that spurred on this opening thought in a bit. I'm going to try to go in order here. So, following where we left off at the end of last episode, Hyakimaru is confronted by, or not Hyakimaru, Dororo is confronted by Itachi and his group, and they indeed do kidnap him in order to use the treasure map that they know he has in order to find, well, his father's treasure. They take a multi-day journey out to follow, basically they're following the map that they got from the mother's back, which they got by digging up her grave and everything, which is all kinds of fucked up in its own way. Like, digging up a grave in any way is absolutely horrible. But then it's like you realize who it is and you still act upon things. You still take the time to like pull her out and turn her over and shit and see her back and everything. It's like, what? And it's like it makes it very clear that Itachi and his group are very much bad guys. So that later in the episode, when Dororo works with them, you know that it's like, okay, even though they're helping in this situation, it's for their own sake and they're not actually on Dororo's side. But either way, following the map leads them to the water, and across the water is a small piece of land where the treasure supposedly is. They find this abandoned, destroyed village and are looking for boats to get across when they meet this one armed guy who says he can help. He leads them into boats that are pulled by sharks, but as they're going across, he reveals that he's betrayed them all, which was super obvious, and is planning to feed them all to the sharks. So he enacts his plan. One of the boats is completely taken out and everyone on board killed. And the boat with Itachi and Dororo, and, well, the shark guy as well, is kind of left aside to wait until sunset. Dororo ends up hatching a plan, which fantastic. I love the moment where he's standing there and Itachi sees his father in him. Like that was a great moment. Just showing how awesome Dororo can be. I mean, I used it as my thumbnail, so. But then we see Dororo actually enact his plan to save them and kill the shark. And by using himself as bait, he jumps into the water with a rope tied around him, uh, telling them that when he gives the signal to pull him up. And he lures in the shark. He signals them. They pull, and he manages to get the shark up for them to kill, and it all succeeds. Like Dororo, this young boy, planned out this pretty hardcore move to kill the shark by using himself as bait. It's like the amount of courage as well as intelligence that goes into that. It's like, holy shit, kid. um, but yeah, they managed to kill the shark and get away, even using the shark's blood as bait to lure in the shark guy, who I don't think we ever got his name. But they lure him in. He sees his dead shark friend, freaks out, but they manage to catch him in an ambush and, yeah, beat him up. Afterwards, at night, Itachi basically is like, oh yeah, by the way, we're still bad guys. It's like we work together to get out of there, but that's just because of our own selfish desires too. We're still bad guys. We're still going to try and force the map out of you. Um, and so it's like Doro insists that he doesn't know and notes that they checked his back already. It's not on his back. And so Itachi's like, yeah, we're just going to forcefully strip you down and check everywhere. And it's like, basically, the instant that happened, I got extremely uncomfortable and extremely angry. It's like anyone who would do that kind of shit to a kid, but to anyone, like, super fucked up. And it's like, and then on top of it, afterwards, he misgenders and everything Dororo because of the genitals. And it's like, yeah, that's super common in the real world, and it pisses me off here too. So Itachi's officially made the I want to see him die list. I mean, I kind of hated him already, but now it's super official. I want to see him die. The misgendering, the sexual assault, honestly, that's what it counts as. Forcefully stripping him like that and everything is extremely assaulting. It's blatant sexual assault, and it's not okay. Especially with how just completely uncomfortable Doro is with his body. I mean, I don't know if Itachi knew that, probably not. But the fact that Dororo is so self-conscious about that, and so and hates his body so much, it just it makes it worse, and it makes me hate Itachi more. So yeah, there's that. But at the end, the shark guy sees the other living shark mourning and basically orders him to kill everyone. And that is where it ends. It leads into the next episode. And so I guess we're going to see a battle between these brigands and the shark, maybe? I don't know. It's like what I'm thinking is going to happen here, and honestly, what I'm hoping is going to happen here is that Itachi and the brigands are going to be killed. Dororo is going to somehow narrowly escape, or Hyakimaru is going to have to come save him, like my initial guess was. Because obviously Dororo's not going to die here. I mean, he's the titular character and one of the two main characters. So he's obviously not going to die. At least not until the end, if he does. Um, but yeah. So something like that's going to happen, where he's either going to escape or he's going to be saved. um, the shark is probably going to be killed, maybe the shark guy as well. But yeah, that's kind of my prediction as to where this is going to go. And honestly, it might not even be Hyakimaru who would save him in that situation. It could be the old man as well. I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see how it goes. Either way, at this point, I just really want Itachi to get his comeuppance. Like, the dude, one, is horribly despicable and evil. He's basically the root cause for the death of Dororo's parents. And now he's just, the way he's being towards Dororo is so fucking scummy and shitty, and I want him to die. I fully acknowledge that. I want him to die. But yeah, yeah. A lot of this episode was pretty easy to see where it was going. Um, the shark guy, it's like, oh yeah, he something's wrong about him at first. It was just right away. You could tell, like Dororo could tell something was off and everything. It's not just because he had the one arm missing and looked like fucked up and everything in terms of like his physical shape and all. His health and everything just did not look good. But it's not just that. Just something about him, the way he spoke, the way he acted, the way he just kind of came out of nowhere, was way too suspicious. So something was clearly off, and I didn't quite know what, and I did not expect the sharks. That did throw me off. Um, but yeah, we're just gonna. I mean, we kind of got his backstory, so we kind of know, at least to some point, what happened. Like, he somehow came upon these sharks, and to help them, he fed them his arm and shit, and then they got a taste for human flesh, so he fed them the village, everyone in the village, and it's just like, okay, because that's a valid way to scale things. Um, I assume, based on what he said, like he kind of implied the sharks were his only family and stuff. That maybe he was a part of the village, and maybe he was looked down upon and mistreated, or whatever else. But that's all speculation, really. Maybe the next episode will tell us, or even show us. But for now, it's only speculation. Um, but yeah, I'm interested to see where they take this story, and just where they take obviously everything in the show going forward. But yeah, I'm interested to see how Dororo's going to get out of this. We know he will, but I'm interested to see how it happens. But in the meantime, tell me in the comments below what you thought of this episode of Dororo. And I'm just going to say now. I'm just going to say it now that if anyone, if I see anyone misgendering Dororo in the comments, I will delete your comment. And if you keep doing it, I will block you from the channel. I am not playing on this. Like, you can believe what you want to believe, but I don't want to see that for multiple reasons that I cannot accept seeing that. And I do see every comment that comes in. So just don't do it. There's no reason to do it. Don't do it. But otherwise, tell me your thoughts on this episode. Tell me what you thought of the sharks. Like, did that surprise you as much as it did me? What did you think of Itachi? Do you think he should die now too? Um, Especially since honestly, just narratively with how he first showed up and how everything has just been going, it feels like it'd be a good point for that to happen. Um, but yeah, tell me your thoughts either way down in the comments below, and thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See you all next time.